Well, Charles, it's launch day. I imagine it's one that you look forward to every year. You've got the chance to take a spin in your new car. How was it?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this day every year. However, it's the kind of days where it's the main target is to kind of check that everything is working properly and that there are no big problems, which was the case today. So that is a positive. But in terms of performance, in terms of feeling, it's too early to say. The conditions weren't that great either. There's a lot of fog, a little bit of a wet track as well. So it's not the best conditions to test a car for the first time. But I was very excited because there's been so much talk and so much work behind the scene in order to get to that moment ready, and so that the car could obviously go around the track normally and check for the first time the real sensors on the car to see whether it was doing the things that we expected. So yeah, it's been a very exciting moment, especially because being in Fiorano, there's a lot of tifosi all around the track, and that adds to that very special feeling.
How emotional is it when you get to see the car for the first time? Because you touched on it there, but obviously the team have been working for nearly a year on this now, and this is what you've got now for the rest of the year. So it must be quite a special thing.
I think it's one of the biggest changes that has happened in F1 history. So it's been particularly exciting for that. Since I arrived in F1, I've had one big technical change in 2020 from 21 to 22. But this is nothing to do with that. We kind of have to relearn most of the programs. We've got to understand the system a lot better, and in order to make the most out of it. So there are many implications also on the driver's side, the way we drive, the way we'll manage the racing. And this makes it a big challenge, but that's something that excites me. And with all the work that has been behind the scene, I was just really keen to finally try it in reality and see how it felt. So yeah, it was very exciting.
And now just finally, you've had a taste. How excited are you to just get going really with Barcelona next week, the 2 Bahrain tests, and just get the season underway?
Very excited because now today I couldn't really push to the max, even though I wanted, because once you close the visor you just want to go flat out, but it wasn't probably the proper day to do just that today. So yeah, Barcelona will finally be in conditions where we can push the car and where we have to push the car in order to try and find the limit for us drivers to try and be as close to the limit as possible straight from the first qualifying of the year. So yeah, I can't wait. It's certainly going to change a little bit the preparation to this new season, as there are so many new things that there will most likely be a lot more meetings around new systems and the way the car works, because as a driver it's very important to understand how each single systems work in order to be ready once we get to the track. And there's also been a lot of work in the background in order to make sure that we get to this first test and then first race as ready as possible. But it's, I think, an opportunity and a very exciting challenge as a driver and as a team to have so many new things, and we are motivated to take that challenge. The fact that I've been in Ferrari for many years now, and the fact that we've also lived together quite a few new technical cycles, helps us to be prepared for this kind of changes, even though this is a change that is much bigger than everything we've experienced so far. It's a big challenge, but I felt that the experience that we've built together in order to be ready straight from the get-go with a completely new car is something that gives me trust and confidence going in the future. But it's a very, very difficult challenge, and this we are very much aware. There's a lot of work in the background, and only the track will talk once we will put the car on the ground. But the preparation, the hard work and the motivation is there, and also the fact again that we've been working for so many years together definitely helps for that change. I mean, with these new F1 cars there are many new things. Basically everything is completely new. I'll probably say that the power unit change is something that is probably the most significant, and that will require the most adaptation to take the most out of it. So just the way the power unit feels, the way to manage it in battles, racing, I think this is probably the most interesting and thing I'm looking most forward to. It's a fine line between adapting to new technology and just using your natural instinct and what I've always done since I'm 3.5, which is driving a car. But at the end, the two goes quite together. I'll say that instinctively and naturally, as soon as I drive the car, you kind of understand where you need to go in terms of driving, and then that is backed by a lot of work behind the scene in order to understand maybe the last tricks that there may be with some specific cars, that only data will give you the real answer to that. But instinct is still extremely important, and probably the first few laps I will do with this new car, it will only be through the instinct and what I feel is right at that moment, and then you back it off with the data and work to try and find things that maybe are a lot more difficult to feel because they are much tinier details. But this will come in a second time. First instinct, and then second, as soon as I have a good picture of what the car needs, then I'll back myself with data in order to understand what I need to do. I can only thank them for the huge amount of support we have every single year, and that definitely pushes us, that motivates us, and that is what makes Ferrari so special. It's thanks to the tifosi and the support that we have all over the world, and we are giving it absolutely everything in the backstage, and we are really looking forward to put the car on the ground and to see how it goes.
I can't really find words to express my excitement, honestly. Even like last night, I couldn't sleep that much because I knew today was going to be the day. The past days have been so exciting to see the car come together, to be in the garage and see everyone come, just all the hard work everyone's done, and I'm the first one that gets to drive the car is it's such a privilege and an honor. And getting in for the first time, I'm not surrounded by red anymore, it's white, which is a different feeling. Obviously, I'd always dreamed of being like in a red cockpit, so this is now, but the car looks great. And then the door opening and heading down to turn one, the first time you get to turn one, you see the tifosi. It's a really, really emotional experience, and it feels brand new. It feels like just such a new beginning. Immediately you're trying to get a feel for just feel anything, feeling through your body, through the G-long, through the vibrations of the seat and the suspension. You're trying to pick up all these little bits of information in the little time that you have. But and then just to be at Fiorano, to be at Ferrari, to be here, to know that this is the start of a long journey, but one that I know that it just feels right. I think the team is in the best place that it's been, I think, in obviously the time that I've been here, and see everyone so motivated and driven. I think we're really on it. We've got a lot of work to do to really make sure we do all our due diligence and we really understand this car, and we really have to be quick to react, be very dynamic. But I feel like all hands are on deck, so I'm sure we can do that. Well, it's turn one is where the tifosi are, but also in the last corner, turn 8, you see some of the tifosi on the right also. So, I've been racing a long, long time, and you never felt that at any other teams, or because there was never ever anyone at testing during this period of time of the year, particularly at a launch. But here, it's like you share something. It's like you're having the first experience with them. You know, it's different as where you're in other years. You would when I was in other teams, for example, you'd be at the track. Obviously, you experience it with the team, but there's no fans there that are with you on the road. So to have the Tifosi there, they've been here since this morning. I opened up my door since very early this morning. I think they're there from 6 or 7 a.m. already. And to see them waving the flags and just feel the emotion for them, it's a really special beginning. They get to have a very special moment. Look, I've been doing this a long time, but I love what I do with more than anything, you know, and I love this team. I really, really, really love this team. I love the fans that we have, and to be able to do this, to still be able to do this, it's such a privilege for me to be able to continue to do what I feel like I was born to do in my life. And next week it's a whole discovery period, you know, where we really have to get as many laps as possible. We have to learn so much, and whilst it seems we have more testing, it's still so compact. It's still only like 3 more days than normal. So and we have to compact so much in those 9 days that we have. But yeah, I'm excited to get to Barcelona. The weather should be pretty good in Barcelona. I'm just excited to take the journey with everyone here, you know, that everyone's arriving. Everyone arrives with good energy, and it's just an emotional journey. We're sharing this life together, this moment in life together. It's very unique and empowering and beyond special.
Regulation shift is monumental. I mean, it's the biggest regulation shift I think our sport has seen, at least in my time. But every single time that it has been a shift into a new regulation, it's been a massive challenge. Everyone starts from scratch, so it really levels the playing field. And then it's really all about development, who can develop faster, who comes up with the best ideas, and then a unified team rowing at the same pace. I mean, I think the way the sport is evolving and the way the technology has evolved into this period of time, I mean, the drivers have always, I mean, if you look back at 2009, there's a period of time where we were utilizing the battery power throughout the laps. This one's even more extreme, where we're having to utilize the power in a different way. I think it's going to be massively, I mean, it is the most technical year that we'll have. I think the driver's role is going to be critical in not only putting laps together and delivering good results, but managing the power unit, managing the power through a lap, and also the new kind of DRS system that we have with the wings, the front and the rear wing moving, and then helping the team navigate. And the only way is through collaboration, through communication, and that's really where I think the drivers get to play a really key role in helping them discover exactly where we need to be going with these cars. I think as drivers, we adapt. That's what we do. So I don't see it being it's going to be a massive challenge this year for sure, for every driver to adapt to particularly the power unit. I think the aero side of things, I'm not seeing that to be massively different in the sense that, okay, our front wing drops away, we have a lot less drag down the straights, so we'll be much, much quicker. It's going to be interesting to see how that works when you're potentially overtaking, but we've had DRS for many, many years, and so I think that it's an evolution of that. The power unit, however, is a lot different, and whilst it's still the V6, recharging this battery, the D rates that you have, and really trying to understand how to utilize the power per straight, and recover it the most and be the most efficient. I mean, this is the period of time where you have to learn to be the most efficient driver that you've ever been, and that's utilizing all the tools you have in your armory as a driver to save fuel, to recharge power, utilize the power, use the grip, and put all these things together. I think it's going to take a lot of work from the engineers to communicate and help the drivers to be able to extract everything in its full potential. Well, I miss the Tifosi. I mean, it's magical when you're at Ferrari and you get to experience the Tifosi. I remember my first day here last year, and turn one of Ferrano, seeing a crowd of the Tifosi there, that was the first feeling and experience I had on the receiving end of that. And we see them everywhere we go, all around the world. The support means a huge amount, not only to the drivers, but to everyone in the team. And we couldn't do what we do without them. Their support means the absolute most. And so I'm really hopeful that with their support and with the hard work that everyone's putting in, that we can have a strong year. You know, that's the dream.
Formula One regulation introduced one of the most significant revolutions in our sport in recent years. And this is true for all the different aspects of the sport, from the power unit to the chassis and even the sporting regulations. As far as the power unit is concerned, the new regulation is introducing several major changes compared to the current generation of power unit. The first being an increased electrical power through a 3 times more powerful MGU-K. The second one is the introduction of a 99% advanced sustainable fuel. And the third one is the removal of the MGU-H. And consequently, the turbocharger is becoming now a standard turbocharger and not anymore an E-turbo, electrical assisted. These kind of updates for sure require a complete different approach to the power unit design, especially on how the internal combustion engine and the hybrid systems interact and balance each other. And this shift is also impacting not only the power unit itself and its optimization through the control strategies, but it also impacts the overall car architecture. Furthermore, the new regulations are bringing some changes also to component designs and some operational items. And these also require the different approach in our processes, in our approach into the season preparation. And that's why, all in all, this kind of new regulation is really setting a revolutionary point coming into the sport. For sure, within the revolution of the new regulation, one thing that has become a key priority for us was an even closer collaboration between the chassis guys and the power unit guys. And that was for sure true in the past, but it has become stronger and stronger when it comes to the design of the next generation of the cars. And I would say that as well as with the chassis guys, also the drivers and the track engineering has become an important part of the development process, especially when it comes to the season preparation. In terms of key priorities that we set ourselves in terms of power unit design, these have closely followed the major architectural changes driven by the regulations. First of all, internal combustion engine. Here we continue to focus in designing the most efficient engine possible, because the new limits of the energy flow given by the regulation is always pushing us in finding the most efficient engine for achieving the highest brake power. The 99% advanced sustainable fuel and on top the turbocharger management also put an additional point into the equation of the overall development. For the hybrid system, for sure, also here efficiency is still an important part of the design process in order to keep the most of the power from the electrical definition. But the efficiency here is also regarding the cooling requirements driven by the chassis and as well the overall layout. And all the changes that have been defined by the regulation also affected the way that we considered, we prepared, and we designed the power unit for its installation, for its layout, and finally for the operating condition, trying to keep and to achieve the overall car performance target. Finally, reliability, which has become more and more important, if anything even more important in a context of budget cap limitation and limited testing opportunities. So ensuring a robust reliability for sure will be crucial, not only for track operations, but also for giving us the possibility to keep on going with our programs and plans according to the production and the economic constraints that we will have in order to follow the budget cap limitations. Since the new project, actually the 2026 Power Unit project, also Power Unit Department is under budget cap limitation. And for sure this has become an important point to be considered and somehow set boundaries that we had to take into account in almost all our processes, decisions and operating conditions. So actually the introduction of the budget cap limitation really gave us the possibility to work more and more integrated in the different parts of the organization and being able to approach each single decision with a more holistic approach, involving the relevant guys, the relevant departments, in order to ensure that our programs could go on and keep on going with what we have planned and what we had in mind at the time of the definition of the process. We are about to hit the track with the SF-26. We are in front of an intense season. Fans could certainly expect a revolutionary season to be deployed. I do believe that they will enjoy each opportunities that this regulation will give them, because I'm pretty sure that it will be exciting and engaging as ever.
Effectively, the 2026 regulation is a large departure from previous regulation. It's affecting car dimensions, it's affecting aerodynamic, it's affecting tire dimensions. In the way we approach the concept, there are two folds of it. One is to understand what the new recipe for performance is, because as much as the ingredients remain the same for performance, what I mean by ingredients is grip, aerodynamic, efficiency of the drivetrain, all this type of thing. So that remains similar, but the way you're gonna gather them, the way you're gonna aggregate them will change as a consequence of the constraints being different to the previous years. So that's one aspect of it. The other fold is the conceptual approach. You want the conceptual phase to be as long as possible. Why? It's because effectively we're starting from a blank page. So there are multiple options in the way you're gonna assemble the different elements, and it's just in the normal evolution. So you draft a solution, you look at it, you find ways to improve it, you draft another solution. It's just the normal iterative process that you follow in development. So the more loops you have, the better you are. Even in a consistent regulation over years, you see the cars evolving. So imagine when you start from scratch, there are many loops that are going to be required to get to a good point. The conceptual process is very much of an iterative process. So the more loop you're doing, the better your solution becomes. At the same time, we've also got, while we are designing, while we are in the conceptual phase, you have some changes because the regulation is evolving, the regulation is ironed out, so some of the inputs are changing and you have to adapt to that. The same is true for our understanding of the tires. During the 2025 season, we had several go at testing the 2026 tires, and then what we learn about these tires, you want to make the most of that learning and implement it into your design. So all in all, you want that conceptual phase to be as long as possible, but at one stage you have to stop because you've got to decide on what you're going to design. Every single part needs to be the best possible. So you need to leave it enough time for the designers. In all that process, one thing we had to keep in mind is that we needed to make sure we leave enough space in our concept for the car to be developed during the season. Because it's clear that the car that will start the season will have very little to do with the car that will end up the season, and the development rate is expected to be reasonably high. But if the car, the base car, the skeleton of the car, hasn't got the space, hasn't got the flexibility for development, it will make it very difficult for us. So the car needs to be capable of that flexibility. Active aero is effectively one of the new degree of freedom. I call it more degree of freedom than complexity, because conceptually this is not more complex or less complex than what we had before. But in terms of degree of freedom, is very different to what we had before. It's not like DRS, for example. DRS was only available for overtaking, etc. So in this particular case, active aero in the dry at least will be available every single lap. So it's very much a degree of freedom that you have to take into account in your development. It's also part of the constraints that are changing, that make the performance recipe different to what was before. What's quite different, or where the complexity is coming from, is on the hardware side. Because effectively, at these speeds, when you're talking about parts moving at these speeds, where the challenge is on the technical side. So you have to have a solution that delivers to target, reliability and performance-wise, and that's effectively where the challenge is. The 2026 development, effectively that word efficiency, I don't know how many times we've pronounced it during the week or during the days, it has been central to the whole development. What comes to mind? First one is energy, the way we're going to use the energy around the lap, the way we are going to use the energy during the race. And that's one of the most obvious ones. Efficiency is not just in energy management. The 2026 regulation has dropped significantly the minimum car weight. So we have to produce a car that is much lighter, 30 kilo lighter than it was last year. And at the same time, the driver safety has been enhanced. So achieving these two things together, a lighter car and more safety, is definitely on the efficiency topic. But it doesn't stop there. We talked earlier about active aerodynamic, which is another element of efficiency, meaning that you will have the downforce where it matters for lap time, and you will have the drag reduction where it matters for lap time as well. So in the grip limited phase, there will be focus on the downforce, and in the straight line, where you are not grip limited, it will be about drag reduction and maximize the drag reduction there. So that's also another topic on the efficiency side. And last but not least, on the cost side, because at the end of the day, when we develop a car, we develop it within a budget, a restricted budget. So we have to get the maximum performance out of the budget that we have got available. So when you design a part, or when you design a system, what you think about is how much performance you bring for the cost. Because you can, you have to multiply this by the thousands of parts that we have. So overall, efficiency is also in the way we use our budget to maximize our performance. Simulation is the only thing you can rely on. You don't have physical parts, you don't have a car, you don't have a previous year car you can rely on for that work. So simulation is very much central to our development. And there are two aspects of it. You're asking about the driver role. So the first thing is on the simulation side, the engineers use the simulation to add raw performance. This is the jobs for the people at the factory. We're adding raw performance, and effectively that raw performance needs to be usable by the driver in the best possible way, and that's where they play a big role. Because with their help, we can make sure we have the tools available, or we develop the tools available for the drivers to make the most of that raw performance, because it's all about the human and machine interaction. So this is where their role is crucial, and even more so when the regulation is brand new.